doing better? Do I look like the church lady at your Church of God under Christ? Are we doing something? Are we very late? But I'm gonna tell y'all, like, I really did prepare for this. I'm spitting. I didn't go out tonight like I wanted to. Well, I went roller skating because that's what I do every Wednesday. But I only did it for like 40 minutes. But like, I really spent time trying to get this together, and we're gonna drink some Cabernet because I deserve a drink after this, bitch. Shout out to Wahama for trying to help me out here because it was not trying to work with at all. Wow, is there a delay? All right, so this wine is this is a sponsored wine. There'll be an Instagram post on this tomorrow or the day after. It's in Brazen. So these wines, there's actually a app on your phone that brings the wine label to life and tells a whole story about who's on the label. But we're going to do all that on Instagram. I ain't get paid to talk about this on PopSnark, so we're going to leave that alone. But we're going to drink this Cab. I don't want to put it down on my carpet. Put it down on the wet floor. Thank you. This setup is a little weird. I just have to remember to turn this way. Okay. I'm going to turn this way and be ready because I'm trying to figure out where can I throw the video at in here. All right, so it's like the audio input is saying I'm too daggone loud. Let's get into this. Hello, welcome to PopSnark. We discuss everything from the low brow to the high brow, as long as your eyebrows on what? Fleek. Okay. Cheers. My birthday is on Monday. We will be a full 34. Oh, I got wine on my good jeans, bitch. Do better, be better. Log in, Google. I know, can I be on time? The goal for the next PopSnark is to be on time. Oh, yes. I didn't even clink or clank. Clink, 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 clank. Girl, we so messy. 2019, it's been wild, girl. But guess what? I know Michelle Obama, so. My birthday is on Monday. We are a cool 2 hours away from Aries season. All right. So we're going to get into this. All right. All right, I really did try to do better, be better about this. Here we go. So I took some notes based on what you guys asked me to talk about. So for my birthday, I am having a chef and mixologist, Yoshi, who I did an entire video with. You guys should definitely go watch that video. It's super cute. I really had a good time. I love Yoshi. She's someone, like, she's making my experience in Charlotte amazing. That whole clique, the Black Market Charlotte clique, I really, really do love those people. Wesley and Will and Yoshi and Fanny, they all dope. And, you know, I mean, I got mad respect for all of them. But Yoshi and Chef Calvin, who cooks at Loft and Cellar, will be coming to my house. And we're having a little private dinner. My friends are flying in. Not a lot of friends. Like, 3 of my homegirls are flying in, and then I have 3 of my homegirls who live here in Charlotte coming over. And we're going to get mixy. It's going to be real grown, real cute, and real chill. You know, a private dining experience. All right? Okay. They going to get flued out on their own dime. No, I ain't flying nobody out. Not I, said the cat. Okay. So first up, let's talk about Jess Hilarious. Let me open my little folder here, girl, because we have a folder. We are going to drop some video. Now, let's see if these videos will actually play for you guys. All right, so Jess Hilarious caught herself in a bit of a kerfunkel the other day. You know, some would say she's funny. I say she has very problematic politics. This is not her first or second time getting herself in trouble. But here, let's see if we can drop this hoe in. And go, oh, can y'all, oh, here we go. Oh, but you're not going to be able to hear the audio.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Put me. If I'm scared, I'm scared. Fuck you.
Yeah, you can't hear none of that.
Fuck how y'all feel. Y'all mad at me because I don't side with every other black person. Because I don't side with every other race. Fuck you. I feel how I feel. I felt
and she did a video where she zoomed in on some people that had turbans on.
And I'm not flying there.
And she goes, oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. You know that
evacuate,
thing she does?
Why? Why? With no reason explained at all. No,
you can't hear it.
Difficulties or nothing.
Okay, cool. Can you still hear me? Yay! Hey! All right, let the video play.
Because my news is real. So how ironic is it that we boarded the same plane, and I don't see those people. Yeah, we're fully boarded. Eat my ass. I'm just the mess. And my news be real. Tune in.
Okay, so that was her on her flight. So she, again, y'all already see what happened. You know, she zoomed in on the Sikh people. They are Sikh, S-I-K-H. Sikh people are brown. They tend to be from Southeast Asia. They are not Muslim. It is a different. I'm gonna try to look at the camera because this is weird. They are of a different religion. They wear the turbans because hair is very sacred to them. And I don't really know a whole lot, but Cat Black actually has a video up with Cam, who I know in real life. Me and Cam used to work together. You know, I know Cam from when I lived in Delaware, girl. But she did a video with Cam, who is a black Sikh, and it's full of information. Somebody link it for me. Somebody go to Cat Black YouTube channel and link it in the comments. Thank you. Also, you guys didn't know already, the super chat feature is open. You can leave a donation. Let's act like we is West African. Give me $1 for my birthday. Thank you for the struggle. If you like what I do, if you appreciate the Smart Brown Girl movement, you too. But Jess then, so as we see in the video, Jess did that whole thing being xenophobic on the plane, talking about she's scared. Girl, even if they were Muslim, what are you scared of? When's the last time we had a terrorist attack in America by a Muslim person? How many, are you scared every time you see a white man? Girl, because how many white men have gone in the past? Like, bruh, I don't even have time for the BS. But then the other day, Jess then went back and released this apology. Let's play. I'm not going to play the whole 4-minute thing, but let's play the first part of the apology.
Hey, y'all, what's going on?
I know this side of me.
The situation that I'm in now, it's had my head fucked up, as it should. So I've been choked up about it. It's really been bothering me that there's been a picture painted of me like I'm a xenophobe or, you know, racist, or,
wow,
you know, prejudiced, or, you know. So I wrote a statement.
What's the sound you making?
I wrote this myself. Sorry, I didn't go hire a publicist to get me through this, or, you know, write it for me. But I feel like nobody can say what I want to say like me. I don't need nobody talking for me. So here it goes. So naturally, in my previous post, I was defensive. But that happens when you don't take the time to really.
Okay, I think we got enough of this. We get the point, sis. Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.
I have to first acknowledge the rooted issues, which means racially profiling a group of individuals based on their appearance. And on top of that, publicizing it.
Okay, we're done. So you get the gist of it. So she releases an apology. Now, I think it's really easy to throw more shade on this. And you know, I don't know if this was fully well. My review of Michelle Obama's Becoming will be up tomorrow. It's a long review because I had a whole lot to say. But one of the things when we did interview her is Jessica's question, which is featured in the video on her YouTube channel, was about how to deal with negativity. And Obama made this comment about how the medium is now negativity. And I said this in the review because I think I interjected when she mentioned that, in that I said that I think people find power in being able to like flex, right? That we all want to feel intelligent, but we want to feel intelligent in a way that gives us power. And a lot of the ways in which you actually can become intelligent doesn't necessarily feel empowering. Like, actually, especially as a black person learning about black history, when you really get the knowledge, it's kind of like depressing. But people want to feel smarter in a way that feels very powerful. And for whatever reason, we're at a point where that power tends to come through negativity, right? Where you feel like if you have something to say, if you feel like you can break a person down, then that gives you a sense of like nobility over that person, or like power over that person. And so I'm saying all to say that I don't necessarily want to police how Jess apologizes, because I think by all standards of what an apology should actually be when it comes to words, she said everything that could be said. The problem is her actions make it hard to accept the words, right? Even if she is donating the $15,000, it makes it hard to accept the sniffling, I'm sad, but what should we do? Hire a publicist? Like, she's still kind of doubling back, But it's like, you not only were you very xenophobic at the worst time of all, like, we just had this New Zealand mosque shooting, sis. And like, you live on the internet. Not only do you live on the internet, you live on Instagram. You were always in the shade room comments. That's how a lot of us know you. So we expect you to know better. And so not only do you project this xenophobia and this bigotry, but then when people point out that you're wrong, you double down on it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I could accept it a little bit easier if she had just been quiet. Like, if she had did that and then, not gotten back to us until the apology. But she kept uploading video the entire time. As if, like, fuck you, how you gonna cancel me? You gonna cancel me? And it's like, sis, that's, it makes, you had so much gumption and so much pride and so much like, bitch, I'm wealthier than you. I got the bag already, so how you gonna take it from me? That right now, I don't feel like I should be supporting you. Now, I'm not gonna call for a boycott of her. I'm not calling for her cancellation. Matter of fact, she got even more weepy in somebody's DMs. Let's put it in here. Here we go.
You are upset with me. I'm not racist. I misjudged those people, and I'm sorry. That does not mean I hate all of you guys. I don't even hate them. I was just
really
sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Listen. Think I'm not hurting? Y'all really think I don't give a fuck? Y'all really think that I'm just out here just living my life like, I don't give a fuck about those people. Yes, I do. I was sorry, and I meant that. I'm not telling me that this picture is being painted about me, and you can say what you want, what I look like, and I'm ugly and all that, that's fine, but I'm not a bad person, and I don't look at all of you the same. I didn't even know Six existed. I didn't even know that there was a whole community of people who aren't Muslims that, look like me. I don't know, and then I'm still trying not to say the wrong thing because I'm
Okay. Sorry, I was going back to the comments. Ooh, my bad. So she was back at somebody. Apparently she was in a person who is Sikh, and they had DM'd her, and she's been going back and forth with them. Now, the Sikh community, for the most part, and like, let's not front like there isn't a very, very much so anti-blackness, especially in that Southeast Asian community. So, we've been walking a very fine line because Twitter is the last place for nuance. But it does seem like people have been reaching out to her, that they have been very kind in their approach. They've been opening their arms up to her to help educate her. And so I'm not going to cancel her. I unfollowed her after her whole transphobic comments. She's constantly like, when the Shade Room loves to post Dwayne Wade's youngest son, who got a little, he got a little sugar in his tea. Let that boy have the room to explore what his sexuality is. It's like, just because he likes to walk with a twitch, don't mean he like one gender or the other, or only one gender or the other. It is not for us to decide. But she is always under the comments, tongue-in-cheek, making a remark. And it's like, don't you have 9 stepchildren to go worry about? Let that sizzle in your spirit, sis. You fucking a 30-year-old married man who got 9 kids. I ain't got time for that. But that's where my judgment lands. But I do think, if I'm being sincere about the apology, regardless of my personal opinions about her otherwise, I actually think that was a very, if the Sikh people accept it, I think it was a decent apology. And I'm just at a point where I'm going to give her the space to let her actions reflect her supposed apology and leave it at that. I'm not mad if people support her. I'm not mad if people find her funny. I'm not mad at her ability to secure the bag and make money. I still ain't watching that little rail show anyway. Girl, you can have it. But I think there is room that if people accept her apology and they're okay with it, I can appreciate that as well. All right. Speaking of, so New Zealand Christchurch shooting. Am I the only one who is getting tripped up by the fact that this New Zealand city is called Christchurch? But I guess if you look at the history of like how Australia and New Zealand came to be full of like European white people, maybe there's some history to that name of that city. But a white man terrorist walked into a mosque in Christchurch, yelled, "Subscribe to PewDiePie," and proceeded to murder. I think the death toll is currently at 50. And it is devastating. It is, this is a small aside because I don't want to equate my experience to this because, girl, I was at the Dallas Black Lives Matter protest when persons, I don't believe it was one person, proceeded to open gunfire. And I didn't realize like how much anxiety that I had absorbed from that. So much so that like I've been, doing like these extracurricular activities to get out the house. And they're forcing me to confront how much anxiety I really do walk around with on a day-to-day basis. Like I'm on a co-ed kickball league. Girl, I'm so scared of this daggone kickball. And it's a softball. Let that shit hit you in your face. Why are you scared? But like literally all my anxiety like just comes choked up in my throat. Roller skating. Like all this anxiety. And I realized when I was in Jamaica how bad my anxiety was. Because I tried to go down like a water slide. And I usually love water slides. And I couldn't do it. And I'm like, bitch, you gotta get this under control. Like, this is problematic. We can't be about this. And I really, like, when I think about when did, like, this anxiety really start to, like, bubble over for me, because I've always had anxiety disorder, but the fact where it, like, bubbles up in me and, like, manifests in these really peculiar ways, I think traces back to having lived through, I guess, is that considered a massacre, bro? Did I live through one? Like, that shit. And because I remember, and I did a video on it, I remember, like, right after thinking, like, this feels very American. Like, it just reminded me of how much, like, having someone walk in with a gun and blow you up. It's very possible. And I have no way of controlling that, no way of knowing that. And, at that protest, interestingly enough, there were people with guns on them because Texas is an open carry state. And I ended up writing an article for the Dallas Morning News about how that experience, like, really reaffirms me that guns are so pointless. Because literally, I mean, everyone with a gun took their gun off and put it on the ground as soon as somebody started shooting. Because they didn't want to be accused. They didn't want to be falsely caught up in any accusations. And so it's wild because if you look at the victims of this mosque shooting, almost all came from countries that either lacked infrastructure, were grappling with their own issues with terrorism, or were just plain plumb in the middle of a war, like in Syria. And they came to New Zealand specifically because New Zealand is pretty much known as one of the most peaceful countries to live in, one of the more prosperous, peaceful countries to live in. And where America, like, there's more guns than people, maybe 1 in 4 people in New Zealand own a gun. And so, like, you're reading these narratives of these people, and you constantly hear that they moved to New Zealand because other family members were there and were telling them, it's so safe, you should come. And no one thinks that they're going to leave war-torn Syria and then end up being massacred, essentially. Like, this wasn't a car accident. This isn't like you got terminally ill. Like, this is something that is just the most inhumane act. And it's like these families are grappling with this happening and also happening away from their own homeland. You know what I mean? Like, they sacrificed their home to come to this country, and this is the way they are treated. But in particular, I would like to give a shout out to New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. I'm going to play a clip because what she's not is an orange popsicle. She's not a fascist. She's not a dictator. This video is real small. Shout out to the BBC, but here we go.
This is why you will never hear me mention his name. He is a terrorist. He is a criminal. He is an extremist. But he will, when I speak, be nameless. And to others, I implore you.
Oh, I'm sitting behind the comments. Sorry, guys. I don't know how y'all see this.
Rather than the name of the man who took them. He may have sought notoriety, but we in New Zealand will give him nothing, not even his name. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you, and peace be upon all of us.
I look like I'm in the whole frame. Do y'all can't see me? People are saying I'm sitting behind the comments, but when I look at it, maybe if you're watching on your phone, I don't know. But am I in frame now? This is weird because when I see it, I'm good. Yeah, but unlike our government, the New Zealand government is very much so being very clear that oh boy is a terrorist. The prime minister has said that they will absolutely be passing gun law. I don't know how easy that's going to be for them, but they making quicker moves than we are. Talking about pray, girl. Prayer ain't going to save us from gun violence. And also, she has made, the prime minister has said that she is not going to call this man by his name because what he was looking for was notoriety, and she is unwilling to give it to him. Now, what's happening from this New Zealand shooting, and I'm gonna when this video goes back, I'm gonna keep this video up on YouTube. Because I have some links here, or maybe I've actually already posted it in the description box. There's a link to the New York Times article that gives you the background and the story to all the victims of the shooting. It's incredibly sad. I think the youngest victim was 3 years old. Bruh, a lot of quite a few black and brown people caught up in this mix. And it is so upsetting. But one of the conversations coming out of the shooting is the need for YouTube to curb the radicalization of, I guess essentially it's white people. I actually don't even think, I think the sentiment is that YouTube needs to curb how easy it is to end up down a black hole that radicalizes individuals in general. And I haven't seen this specifically targeted at white people. I think the assumption when we read these articles and we discuss it is that we were talking about white men. But I want us to be mindful that when we start talking about how YouTube curbs the fringe sort of, alt-right, it'll also be alt-left, the bigotry, the xenophobia, the hate speech, all these things that, basically these discourses that put people down a bubble, some of y'all faves are going to get cut off too, right? I think when we have these conversations, we do have to be mindful about the broader implications. Because YouTube has, since the election of Donald Trump, has been catching a lot of heat, and I think they deserve it. I'm not at all defending YouTube because it is a couple $billion company. They can protect themselves. But having had my channel be impacted, especially when they started curbing conspiracy theorists and people that did more political conversations, because a lot of the conspiracy theorists, a lot of the content that maybe Alex Jones does or a Red Pill or whatever those, Jordan Peterson. And I mean, technically you could argue that Jordan Peterson isn't harmful and isn't a conspiracy theorist. Some want to argue that because he's a professor at a university that he isn't intellectual, even if I could also argue that the way in which he promotes and this whole PraGU and Prager whatever stuff breeds a level of violence and hatred towards already oppressed communities. When they first started curbing that right around right after the 2016 elections, my channel financially definitely got hit, and I don't feel like I at all fall into conspiracy theorist anything. I try to be very, very careful and ethical about the ideology that I promote, about the opinions that I put out. I spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time doing research, and that's why I don't talk about certain things. That's why I don't associate with certain people on here, even if you think my content is in line with theirs. And I still was directly impacted by when they started curbing, how advertising was being run on some of the more bigoted programming that is on YouTube. And so I'm not at all concerned that if YouTube does something to stop the way you get caught down the rabbit hole, right? But me and Malik talked about this also. I interviewed a YouTube executive. It's all on my channel, Malik Ducard. And I did ask him a question about, what YouTube is really good at is keeping you, like all social media is good at keeping you on the app, right? That it keeps showing you things that it knows you wants to see. Now, with YouTube and it being video, it's going to keep showing you video based off of what other people are watching. And it's like, some wild-ish ends up on my homepage largely because of my audience. YouTube reads what my audience is watching and then serves it up on my homepage, thinking that because this is the audience that I've cultivated, that this is the stuff I want to watch. A lot of I just got divorced, never thought it would happen videos. A lot of y'all like a lot of messiness, a lot of this white woman doing this and this black woman stuff. And I'll be like, girl, and then you start watching and you quickly do go down a hole. you quickly do get caught up, as Michelle Obama said, in a medium of negativity. And a lot of us have I think societally in Western society, because I'm reading The Loneliness of the Black Republican by Leah Rigor. Oh, I don't even know how to say this girl's last name. And I know Leah in real life. Wow. But I knew her when her last name was right. So whatever. But she, in the beginning of the book, she's talking about the history of Black people switching over from mostly voting for the Republican Party to being more pro-Democrat. And how in the 1930s, particularly, this messaging around how our vote would matter more if we go between two sides. But I feel like there was like a point she was making in the book about how we've always kind of absorbed this, or maybe I was reading Kenya. Ooh, I don't even remember this other lady's last name either. Whatever. Maybe I was reading something else. I've been doing a lot of reading. Somebody was making the point about how we as Black people have historically fed into this belief that we need to consider the other side, even when obviously the other side rhetoric is very harmful to us and very violent, that somehow we still think that we need to, like, we're more valuable if we listen to both sides. And that's not actually true. And it hasn't proven to be true for us. We are most valuable when we listen to what our actual needs are and stand firm in that. Actually, I think that wasn't The Loneliness of the Black Republican, because she was talking about this guy who came out of Harlem in the 1930s and was trying to, when the Republicans were refusing to do any sort of anti-lynching policy, was still trying to get Black people to not even to vote, to be independent and not allege to any party. In order, though, it was kind of a swindle because he was still trying to help the Republican Party get the votes. But whatever, girl, I'm not explaining this very well. But all that to say, why has my chat stopped? Okay. But all this to say, I do think that because not only Black people, but in general, we are in a time where the Overton window is being pushed further and further to the right. And so many of us I'm always arguing with somebody on Facebook, like, don't post things from alt-right websites. Don't post things from Fox News, from Tucker Carlson. Don't repost that stuff, even if you do agree with the content, because you're allowing it to slowly seep in. You're allowing this person who pushes out this very harmful rhetoric, you're allowing this belief that at some point some of the things that they say are okay, and therefore you're going to then start seeing that individual and their beliefs generally is okay, and that's not good. We have to be much more hardline in our integrity. But my point that I am making is that I do agree that YouTube has a radicalization problem, but it's hard to figure out how they are going to possibly fix it without quite a few of, like, Black people getting caught up in this. And part of it is, like, yes, I'm on a Google public policy cohort. We've discussed this problem in the cohort. We're not, only the person that has it up works at Google. Nobody else, none of the other members are Googlers. And so we're very kind of frank about our feelings about what YouTube and Google in general needs to do to counter this sort of anti-xenophobic, bigoted rhetoric. But y'all know I call a certain movement xenophobic, and that's what I'm referring to. Like, I don't agree with them being taken down, but if YouTube sets, like, broad parameters about what should be sidelined, what should be, ads should be taken off of, what shouldn't populate as often, if they start doing things to curb this content reaching people, trust one of y'all favorite movements is definitely going to get caught up in that. Like, I can almost guarantee you it will, for the exact criticism that I'm often giving to it. And I'm not co-signing that it should. I don't believe that it should. But, when we start talking about curbing elements of free speech, you have to understand that a lot of the Black liberation movement in general is termed as radical and fringe, and will absolutely be caught up in that. And so I try to be personally more careful about what I call YouTube out for, and not what I call them out for, but what I'm suggesting they need to do. Because there's, like, that whole pedophile thing that was an issue on YouTube where, like, pedophiles were leaving codes for the time codes for videos where, like, little girls, they're not really in compromising positions. Like, the little girl might be sitting in an Indian pose, her legs crossed over, and, like, her crotch is, like, slightly visible, but she's fully clothed. But because these are pedophiles, they are sexualizing it. and turning it into something very disgustingly negative. And so YouTube got called out for it. It got called out in a very kind of like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is so, why isn't YouTube doing anything? This is pedophilia. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So YouTube had to make a swift action because they don't want to lose advertisers. And they took comments off of all children's videos, which means people like Belief in Fatherhood, LaGuardia Cross. You could not leave comments. Raven Elise. You could not leave comments on their videos because they showcase their children in their videos. And they are therefore, some of their content ends up on YouTube Family. And they are identified as part of children-friendly, PG-rated content. And so they don't want pedophiles commenting on it, so they turn off the comments altogether. And you are curbing the financial stability of Black families who are on YouTube. And, I definitely think that YouTube has the money and has the ability to figure out a better solution than I can. It is not my responsibility to figure out that solution. But you also have to remember that companies do respond to uproars, and if everyone's asking for it, they're going to respond a little bit quicker. So I 120% believe that we should continue to put the fire up their ass. We should continue to hold them accountable and to be mindful about the ways in which they impact our culture, and they disseminate information that's very harmful to other people. That this guy from the shooting live streamed the shooting and called out PewDiePie is a whole nother mess. And so PewDiePie out here got, making Ben Shapiro popular. And his subscribers are so annoying. But even with that said, I do want us to be mindful of what our expectations of and what we're asking for when we're asking them to change, in that, a lot of content that we like, particularly when it comes to Black folk, would be directly negatively impacted by any sort of curbing or curtailing, based on we definitely have to be considerate of the nuance that has to go into how we create these rules around what is allowed to live on the internet. Am I making sense? Is I? Okay. Next up is Ethiopian Airways. Girl, this is sad. We just want to get the sad shit out the way. Ethiopian Airways, there was a 787 MAX 8 airplane crashed in the same way that the Lion Airlines 787 MAX 8 plane crashed 9 minutes after takeoff. And Ethiopian Airways is a very good airline. It's one of the top airlines in Africa. It's one of the consistently running airlines in a much underserved market. So this is an extremely devastating tragedy, particularly for anyone who enjoys traveling to Africa. You probably at some point in time since Ethiopian Airways launched flown on an Ethiopian Airways flight, partially because they make it possible to travel through Africa without having to travel back into Europe, which is like the whole way that the airways are controlled in Africa, and how it's extremely difficult to do air travel between countries. And Ethiopian Airways is a much needed service in that market. And so, when the Lion Air flight crashed, it was pretty much put on, because Lion Air is a low budget carrier in the Philippines or Malaysia and Southeast Asia. And so it's like the equivalent of like Spirit getting in an accident here. Like if Spirit had a crash, we most likely would all just be like, oh, it's just Spirit. And we wouldn't really look into like the plane and Boeing, the manufacturer. But when Ethiopian Airways has a crash now, and it's almost identical to the Lion Airways crash, you do have to actually look into it. Now, every morning I listen to the New York Times, the Daily. It's just a good way to start thinking about the news without like getting all the negativity of the news. And they did a segment on Boeing. And I didn't even realize that Boeing had a monopoly on airplane manufacturers. But it's true. They were like, there's pretty much only two companies that manufacture like 90% of the airplanes in the entire world. It's Airbus. And I don't know if I've ever really flown. I mean, I pretty much exclusively fly American Airlines. And I know for almost every flight, it's almost always a Boeing. And that one time I got on a Cessna plane, girl, won't never do that shit again in my life. But Boeing put out, and so they're detailing how Boeing put out this new model. They work very closely with the FAA. Girl, what the Flight Aviation Administration? Girl, I don't even know what FAA stands for. I just know that the people that the air traffic controllers, they basically monitor the airways, right? But they more than collaborate with the FAA, so much so that the FAA actually relies on Boeing to set the standard for the rules and policies that they set around air traffic. And I didn't realize that until I listened to this podcast. I was like, oh my gosh. This is how much control Boeing has over how air travel in America works. And really, because America sets the standard for how most of the other world sets their air flight policies and their air travel policies, that Boeing and essentially kind of governs all the skies throughout the earth. And that Boeing could come out and say, don't worry, we don't need to get training around this new plane. It's the same as our other planes. And then, because they've donated so much to the Trump administration, have Trump, who is just an orange peel, in the office, have him delay on grounding all 787 MAX airplanes. Like every other country grounded their 787. And yes, this particular model of a plane is like the fastest selling model that Boeing has put out. So a lot of airlines are taking hits. But again, they billionaires. They more than millionaires. They all billionaires. They got more money than us. So we ain't got to have sympathy for them. They're going to pass it on to us anyway. It's okay. I don't even buy 90% of my flights anyway. So I'm good. Maybe I'll just be flying less this year. But because the flights get expensive, we will be staying our nice behind in Charlotte, North Carolina, and hopping in a little hoopty and taking drives down the southern East Coast shore. But it was very enlightening listening to this podcast episode about basically the sort of free reign that Boeing has and how they need to be held accountable, and how American pilots have been putting it out there that they need more training, and have sat down with Boeing and called them to task for it. And so that was enlightening. But I really hope that, none of us look at Ethiopian Airways as a less than airline, because they're not. And this crash is really indicative of Boeing and their monopoly over air traffic. Speaking of white folk and Donald Trump, the next thing I want to talk about is this HBO documentary that dropped yesterday. Girl, I don't even know.
I really feel like there were two entirely different worlds.
Is there sound of this?
Here we go. There was the carpeted world, and there was the tiled world. In the carpeted world was where Elizabeth was a goddess, and then you go onto the tile side, and nothing works. We're on a sinking ship.
So this Adventure podcast I watched yesterday, girl. This white woman, Elizabeth Holmes, with a fake voice, girl. This girl sounds so wild when she talk. She sound crazy. Let me take a sip because, whoo. And I remember when this popped up because she was on, wait, do I have the cover? Girl, I told y'all I prepared. But what did I title it? I thought I put it in here. Oh, here we go. I titled it by her first name. Okay. So this girl. Alright, so Elizabeth Holmes started a company after dropping out of Stanford. White folk. Now, I was watching this documentary, and it turns out that her one of her family friends was like on the board of Stanford. So like, sis, did you really get into Stanford on your own? Did somebody pay for you to get into Stanford? Were you on the crew team too? What's happening here? But Elizabeth Holmes was at Stanford and came up with this concept that she wanted to revolutionize healthcare, which absolutely we need to revolutionize it, right? But I remember when this Forbes cover came out, and like there was like a blur of articles about she being the first, like one of the only female billionaires in Silicon Valley, and she had somehow come out with this test that would allow you to get blood work done for much cheaper and much easier. Because again, who knew that lab work was a monopoly in America? Capitalism going to capitalize, and it makes so much sense because every time you go get lab work, it's either LabCorp or Quest. Those are the only two companies in America that really do blood testing, right? And so Elizabeth supposedly wanted to come in and disrupt that. And a lot of testing requires like vials of blood, right? You know, if you've ever gone and gotten like even like a regular, physical, and you do like a regular smattering of blood work, like your standard STD, and you know the regular shit they check for, you're giving like about 3-4 vials of blood for the test, and it can be, you know, nobody wants to really watch a needle being drawn. I'm sorry, I look at that. A needle being drawn and like that much blood coming out of you. It can be tiring. It's psychologically. Who likes needles? No one. Don't let your ass get pregnant and gotta go with all the needles they draw when you 10 months of gestation, girl. And so it was a noble cause, but she was a whole ass scam. She lied, her little blonde hair. First of all, that blonde hair wasn't even her blonde hair. The girl didn't blink. She had big, doughy blue eyes, dyed her hair a dirty blonde, had this weird, deep voice that clearly was fake. Her voice, if you watch the documentary, her voice is so wild. She, you know, like, guys. And so, yeah, we went in and and it's like, she basically followed like the Steve Jobs model. Like she only wore all black turtlenecks, black jeans, black leather jacket. You know, she tried to like make herself, you know, look as unassuming as possible, and like, oh, I don't really care about my exterior, but still feed into the tropes of like blonde hair, blue eyes, white, femininity. And so obviously a lot of people believed her and fell for her whole scheme because it was all men. Like literally all the women in the documentary are like, yeah, it didn't make no sense. Had a whole woman professor at Stanford be like, sis, I can't work with you because there's no way for your concept to ever work out. Like the physics of it say no. Like hard no. Like bitch, you crazy no. But here, I'm going to pass you off to this white man because I know he'll be a swindle. Homegirl was a Harry Kissinger was a fan of her. Girl, what happened to the rights in Cambodia? And then they were talking about who she scammed, like who was investing in her company. Guess who? And that's when I left out a good chuckle. Let's talk about some of these names she scammed. Betsy DeVos. Paul Manafort. Michael Cohen. Bitch. She had a bunch of Trump supporters. The New England Patriots owner. She's definitely up. She has a federal case against her for some kind of fraud. I don't even care, girl. Not my concern, but guess what? Who you didn't scam? My people. Now, she did get a deal with Walgreens, and they had like these blood work lab things in the Walgreens. And so, you know, I do feel bad for anybody who got blood work or went in expecting one thing and got a whole different experience. And the everyday consumer who she took money from, but it literally was in Arizona. It all came crumbling down because the Wall Street Journal reporter was like looking into it, and people started asking questions. And she just ran that white femininity game. Ooh! Sis ran it so good. Y'all gotta watch the documentary and then we can come back and key about it, because I can't just be telling y'all about it and y'all don't have no reference to what I'm talking about. But sis, scam all of Trump's people. Scam all of them. Keep going. Nobody's mad at you. Not me. Too much fun? Too much fun. Alright. Oh man, more sad shit. Wow. Okay, we're gonna get the sad shit out the way. Alright, this is Cyclone Idai. It's Idai. Idai. It's happening in southern Africa, not South Africa, but in southern African countries, in Mozambique. Now, a cyclone actually is there sound? My bad. I'm talking over everything. Wow. Okay. The video back. Okay, enough of the sad imagery. We're not doing trauma porn here. But basically, in Mozambique, there was a cyclone. Now, a cyclone is actually the same, because like I was trying to figure out what is exactly a cyclone, because it sounds so much worse than like a hurricane or a tropical storm. But essentially, in our hemisphere of the world, our storms are called hurricanes and tropical storms. In that side of what is basically like the Arabian Sea, Persian Sea, on down to that side of the Pacific Ocean, it's considered a cyclone. And the only difference is that a hurricane goes counterclockwise and a cyclone spins clockwise. But it's pretty much the same sort of thing. So imagine what we went through with Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Harvey. This is essentially happening in southern African countries that have even less infrastructure than a Houston or a New Orleans. And so I think the death toll is somewhere around 100,000, and like 400,000 people are displaced. It's not really getting a whole lot of attention in the American news cycle. I do follow people who cover African news on Twitter, which is how I caught wind of it. But girl, it's sad, it's rough, and I want to say, please go watch my story time about bitches in the forest, because I talk about what's actually causing this level of like bad weather that just turns into something. So I keep using one of these violent. But what's causing weather to be more extreme and more damaging is climate change. And my bitches in the forest story time is actually about how I learned particularly about these like countries of, like Mozambique, and the indigenous land rights that are indigenous people that are fighting for their land rights in an effort to actually curb mining and the sort of corporate tactics that leads to an uptick in climate change. So go watch the video. Thank you. Okay. All right, now, because everyone wants a moment to drag someone, let's talk about your homegirl who's been having the worst time this year. Wendy Williams. I'm going to let this video play over me because it's important.
Some time now, and even today and beyond, I have been living in a sober house. When you see me come to work, glammed up, right after the show, I go across the street, I do my Pilates. I told you 2 hours a day, I like to take care of my body. And you know I've had a struggle with cocaine in my past, and I never went to a place to get the treatment. I don't know how, except God was sitting on my shoulder and I just stopped.
Okay, so Wendy Williams announced that she is living in a sober house. Now, you know, it's again, Wendy is the person you want to drag because she be in so many other people's business. Like, imagine how Wendy would talk about someone whose husband has been flagrantly cheating on them, who everyone who has worked with her says that he beats the ish out of her, that he is abusive. We got pictures of him laid up in the island, kissy face with his other girlfriend. You done wrote a book where you talk about picking something up, putting it down because it's yours, and picking something else up, and remember that you don't want to break your own shit, and then throwing it because you were so mad at him. Girl, have you ever read Wendy Williams' books? They're crazy, bro. Like, her relationship has been historically a hot-ass mess. So imagine how she would treat us on her hot topics. And tell me where I'm supposed to find my ethics here. Tell me where I'm supposed to place them at. What am I supposed to do with this? My hair look good, though. It's like, you know, I get it. Like, I'm happy. I think it's very important that she does talk about this, that she does announce, you know, her own struggles with addiction and that she is getting help. And I really, really want to see her come out on the healthy side and be okay. But sis, your husband, what are we supposed to do with this? You know, I just don't know, like, where to place, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. But I'm also not an avid watcher of Wendy Williams. And so the most I see her is when it comes up on my Twitter or on my Instagram. And so I'm just going to be like, oh, okay, sis, you know, I really wish the best for you. And then I guess leave it where it's at, because how do we talk about her husband? You know, if she's a grown woman with her own agency, if she chooses to stay with him, if she chooses to be with him, if she chooses to not address it and deflect and say my marriage is healthy and my marriage is good and I'm taking the onus and I'm the one going to the sober house and I'm going to talk about my addiction instead, then I just guess we just let go and let God. Because I have nothing at this point, okay? Nothing. I think that for the saying that her man controls the show, I think she's far along enough in her career. We are far along past these days. Like, yeah, it's messy, but people leave their management companies all the time. You know what I mean? And like, particularly in the era of Me Too, if she really wanted to come out and be honest about what's happening and going on with her, I think she would have, even with all the bridges she's burned, with as messy as she is considered, I still think there will be a level of support that she could get that honestly, no, and having been a person that worked in I never worked in television, but I've worked in the music industry, I think and I have some understandings of how this entertainment industry thing goes, I think she would be okay. Okay? I personally feel like she'd be good. But you also cannot dictate how a person goes about doing it. So, yeah. All right, moving on. Next topic. Let's talk about this 2020. This guy, you guys have been asking all daggone day long. Let me know how the stream is going. Is the lag too bad for you guys? Yes, I will save this live. We will leave it up, even though the quality is still not that great. All right, let's not stretch out the Castro brothers' face too much. All right. Oh, girl, gotta move this way. All these Democrats, sis, do you see this? All these Democrats, and y'all been asking me about that little funky looking Asian dude right in the, it's my lower, that would be the right, this guy. Ooh, next to Clobbinshore, however you say her name from Minnesota. Andrew Yang, this guy right here. Y'all been asking me about this guy. So here's my take on Andrew Yang and his Breakfast Club interview. I ain't watching that shit. I don't believe in no technocrats. I don't want no one who ain't never had no kind of political experience running for political office. I don't care if Donald Trump did it or not, Rich. I'm not co-signing what the oppressor did. I'm not trying to mirror their actions. I don't want Howard Schultz, the Starbucks guy, to run. I don't want Oprah to run. I don't even want Michelle Obama to run, okay? And I love her. I'm good. I'm not effing with it. Maybe after the debates, because he will be on the CNN debate, he is raising up funds or whatever. Maybe then he gonna be there. Girl. But I ain't got the time to invest in him right now. And I know he's talking about giving everybody $1,000. Cute. Okay. Cute. Are quality jobs. Health insurance. Fixing public education. Then we go back to quality jobs, because quality jobs also means we need like quality, like industry. We need unions. We need to have policies around the unions that actually make them run for the people and not also allow capitalism to capitalize. We need better infrastructure. We need public transportation, right? We need social services. There's like a whole thing that I don't really get caught up in this. And I'm okay. If y'all like him, y'all love him, good, go ahead. Y'all back him. Y'all put the word out. Y'all research. But right now, nothing that I've heard about him is making me want to dedicate time to watching him. I have not watched Cory Booker on The Breakfast Club because I think he looks like a Q-tip. And I'm not interested, okay? No, I'm not here for it. So all these people on this list, let's go through it. Up here we have Kamala Harris. We did a whole video on her. Y'all was in the comments not listening to nothing I said, but it's okay. Want to be messy. Then we got the Q-tip Cory Booker. Not here for him. Elizabeth Warren. If you want to know who I'm currently here for 2020, Elizabeth Warren. That's who I'm here for, okay? I like Elizabeth Warren. She's still kind of a capitalist. That's okay. We can have a discussion about it. I'm probably going to do a video about the whole Democrat thing now that Beto has entered into the race. But we'll get into it a little bit here. The guy next, I don't even know who that is. He don't matter. Oh, here, maybe y'all can see my cursor. Then this is Kristen Gillibrand. She's a senator who took Hillary Clinton's spot in New York State. Maybe after the debates I'll feel something about her. Is this, I can't remember if this is Julian or Joaquin Castro. He one of the Castro brothers. Word on the curb is that on the Hill, he's not very well liked amongst Democrats. But neither is this one right here, Tulsi Gabbard. So I don't know how much that means, but he's boring. And he's a former Texas congressman, was also on HUD, what Ben Carson's job that he doesn't go to anymore. Yeah, that. But there's not really much excitement. Even, like, I don't know, I'm not Latino and I'm not very steeped in the Latino community, but I have not heard much about him. So I think he'll probably follow pretty early on. Klobuchar, the girl from Minnesota, she's embroiled in too much other ish. Girl, I never run for president. Don't petition for shit for me. I'm good. Oh, for me to give questions to candidates. Yes, let me interview the candidates. I did get on my Michelle Obama interview, right? Yes, thank you. This one right here, Klobuchar from Minnesota. She they're really going for her high turnover rate in her office and how she has very stern rules. And I guess I don't see it for her either. I don't see it for Yen. I don't see it for no technocrat. Nope. Oh, again, Mari Williamson. Okay, y'all been following her because she done came out and supported reparations. Cool. Great. I don't think she understands how reparations work, though. I don't. I think she, numbers don't really add up. Numbers aren't enough. Like, sis, when we talk about reparations, do you understand, like, how... Okay, billions, bro. Billions, not millions. So... tens of billions really are needed. I mean, America got it. It could be done. But, again, where's your political experience? Who the hell is this? I don't know. And Tulsi Gabbard, is she out of Hawaii? So, I actually think Tulsi, I think her meeting with, Bashar al-Shir, what's the name of the Syrian president? Bashir Assad? Or is that Sudan's president? They both have a similar name and I always get it mixed up. Bashar al-Assad. Bitch, we was on a track. Tulsi met with him and, you know, it's really hard to navigate propaganda that goes around the whole, like, what's happening in Syria. But, the general consensus was that was not a good move, so I don't know what's going to happen with her. But again, I like Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren currently has the most robust policy out. She has a great track record, and I think Beto O'Rourke is cloaked in white male privilege that he gets this rock star rollout, and we aren't talking about Elizabeth Warren. Like, can we debate about Elizabeth Warren? Can we say what we don't like about her? Like, sure, the whole Native American thing, girl, we got it. So many black folk been running around talking about I got Native American in my family. So I mean, I definitely put down that I was some type of Native American on a few college applications. So okay, but like can we talk about her policy though? Can we talk about how she's looking at healthcare now? She is kind of walking back on single payer universal healthcare, and I get it though, because I think people are looking at how do we actually get healthcare passed in this sort of setup we have, that we're not all of a sudden going to get only progressives into political office across the federal government and then on state and local level. And when you think about how the ACA was gutted, and how lobbying works and what you're really trying to fight against, if we're going to participate in the system, then we have to be honest about the system. And I mean, not like there's a difference between us participating in the system as voters. I think we can be very radical, and we should be radical, and we should hardline our approach. You know, I'm not mad at y'all that want to talk about reparations, but I think there are other people that are going to want to talk about other things that we shouldn't. I want to be careful about us not over talking each other versus saying we need to be able to talk about all these things, right? Because a politician should be able to have multitudes and platitudes. That's not the right saying, but whatever. But overall, Elizabeth Warren, to me, has the most robust policy, track record. You know, who else is not here? Bernie. Bernie's 77. I ain't voting for no old white man to get in office. Joe Biden can sit his white ass down, bruh. Anita Hill, 94 crime bill. I still like you. I used to dress you at the Georgetown. But at the Republic, you might do it-ish. You real cool. But you the creepy white uncle. No. Nothing about a Beto Biden ticket excites me. Now, when it comes to Beto O'Rourke, you know, I have lived all over the United States. I spent the last 5 years in Texas. And I spent 8 years before that in New York. So I have a lot of friends who live in New York City on my Facebook timeline and quite a few text friends on my timeline. The New Yorkers are constantly going with this. The only reason Beto lost by such a small margin is because nobody likes Ted Cruz. And I think that really lacks an understanding of how Texas politics are structured. In particular, and that I have talked about this in other videos about how the Democrat Party in Texas is in shambles. Like, foundationally, it is a hot-ass mess. And so, Beto O'Rourke, I think when we look at his loss, it wasn't like, you know, there was a shift in Texas politics on a state level, right? And Texas has like been ground zero for the GOP strategy in pushing this cultural wars and focusing on local and state elections, and making sure that they can dismantle the Democratic Party and any progressive politics on the state level. And they have wholly done that in Texas. So for what Beto did with getting people, one, Texas has some of the lowest turnouts, right? Some of the lowest voter turnouts in the single digits. You're getting over a state that has prosecuted 2 women, both minorities. One voted Republican and one voted Democrat, but has put them in jail. 5 years, bruh. For mistake, one voted and filed a provisional vote that didn't even get counted. Crystal Harris, I believe is her name. And she got sent to jail for 5 years when she filed a vote that basically said, I'm not sure if I can legally vote, but if I'm allowed to, here's my vote. If after you review my background and say that I can legally vote, then you can count my vote. But this vote will get reviewed to see if it even counts as legal. Like, that's the whole point. And she still got, you know, you're up against a really strategic sort of dismantling of progressive and Democrat policies, that Beto's loss, that very small margin is very significant because a lot was done on the state level and local level, right? So I think you can give him a little bit more credit. But then I think it is a very fair question to ask, if Beto can run, if the Obama people, if all these people, establishment Democrats are looking at him like, ooh, our hot guy, this is going to get us into the White House in 2020. Where's Stacey Abrams? Where's Andrew Gillum, right? So while Beto is being courted and encouraged and raises the most money in one day for his White House run, Stacey Abrams is fighting against the illegal activities of the Republicans with regards to voting registration in her state of Georgia, right? She is making sure that other people behind her are prepared to fight and advocate for Georgia voters, in that ensuring that all Georgia voters are counted and have easy access to the voting booth. Andrew Gillum is just launched a voter registration program, right? You have the state of Florida trying to curb how many former felons are allowed to vote. You have Andrew and Stacey, which is historic for black politicians, doing the work, and Beto is getting rock star privilege. And I like Beto. You know, I met the man in person. He got that whole little Kennedy effect. He's a little tall, funny looking, sweats-a-lot white boy. I get it. I've also met Stacey, and I don't want Stacey to run for office, though. I'm telling you, I don't want her to run for president. I'm gonna give it. This is why. You know, y'all thought I liked Kamala. I'm not pro Kamala Harris. I actually don't want no black woman to be president after Trump. Everyone keeps talking about the economy's healthy, and I'm like, where? You got, like, people are, you know, the lowest unemployment rate, because people are saying they're self-employed now. That's why we got a low unemployment rate. People working contract positions with no health insurance. If they don't go to work, they don't get paid. They have no paid time off. Girl, don't get me started. Quality jobs, right? Jobs we can feel proud of are actually happening. And so when shit hits the fan, as it did in 2008, and Obama mistakenly bailed out the banks, you ain't finna ruin Stacey Abrams for me. You ain't, okay? Says. She could be a nice little VP. She could be a secretary of something. But we ain't trying to stress Stacey out. Ooh, let me find my words. I ain't trying to see Stacey stressed out fixing DARPA program. Let one of these white people come in the office while we work to dismantle the whole government. Then you could come in after, right? Come in. And then we can, we want to make this great. We want to make this awesome. We want to make this amazing. I'm really concerned about, when you get someone I guess now we all kind of look back gleefully on George Bush, number 2. But when you get someone like that in office, and the whole history of Dick Cheney and the lies about weapons of mass destruction and, building and lobbying for the oil industry and, pharmaceuticals and all these other things. And you realize that the policies that they implemented, the impact of them we're feeling after they leave office, right? You feel the impact of what's happening after they leave office. So a lot of these good things that are happening economic-wise are part of, what happened with the previous administration. We just have a narcissist in office who's going to take claim for it. And we are going to be hurt because he is stacking the federal courts. He is stacking the Supreme Court. He is setting precedents with executive power that is just wild. And so I don't, I'm not, if Stacey decides to run, guess, I'll be campaigning, bitch. I will drive my happy ass down to Atlanta, be up at headquarters, what phone bank do I need to sit on, sis? I am here for it. But I would like to protect Stacey at all costs. And I don't think she needs to prove herself. This is not, sis, you need to wait because you need to have more political acumen behind you. I absolutely think if Beto can run, if we could be happy and excited for Robert O'Rourke, then we can be excited for Andrew Gillum. We can be excited for Stacey Abrams, but obviously they lack a certain level of privilege, white privilege, that Beto has. And I don't know. I'm not going to say that I think the Dems for sure are going to lose next year, but I don't think that the Democratic establishment has really learned from its mistakes. And I think a lot of people are making money from pandering, including some of our black influencers. And speaking of people pandering and becoming black influencers, and making their money off of speaking for the black folk on Fox News. Let's look at our sis with the slick press out. The one time Donna Brazille popped up on our TV looking like a hot thing. Ooh, sis, looking real cute. Yeah. Oh, don't move me out. Ooh. Donna really came through with a press out in some bundles, looking fine. And this how she normally looks. That's the same woman. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Same black woman. We not going to slander her too much. But she about to catch this heat. Because sis is signed on to be a contributor on Fox News. And it's like, let me see that back. Now, funny enough, I wouldn't call him a friend. We're acquaintances. We like hanging out with each other. And he is a commentator on Fox News. And I always give him the shit. I'd be like, nigga, where your integrity at? Where? You out here talking about I'm friends with Megan. Fuck yo, Megan. And she's racist, alright? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I do believe that she should have a higher level of integrity and morals than to go with a propaganda machine. She is legitimizing it. She is giving it her validation and her credibility. And I am just not here for it. But get the bag, sis. I guess if we're going to celebrate wealth, we might as well celebrate a black woman. What is she now? We might as well celebrate a black woman collecting that bag, but that bag ain't going to do nothing for us. Girl, just please go on Fox News with the press out and not this. All right? Don't go with the 1952 Fannie Lou Hamer Liberation press out. Go with the bundles press out. All right? There we go. Okay. We're getting to the things you guys are going to talk about. We're getting to it, okay? Everyone is asking me about Daniel Caesar and his 2 buck teeth. Leave that boy alone. Y'all know he ain't date black girls. You could look at him and be like, oh, he ain't dating black girls. He too scared. He too shook. Duh. And then my nigga wouldn't open his mouth. And I was like, first thing I said, I was, oh, he's Becky'd up all the way, bro. Bro. Oh, I need to pour more wine. But first, let's give context because the Daniel Caesar situation has context. So first, I recorded a whole video about this culture vulture. I just need to edit it, and then it will probably go up on Friday. Okay, we're going to play this whole video.
That's the shirt, right? So I tweeted the shirt, and I said, I'm about to wear this, or should I wear this tomorrow? And that was like me hoping that he would see it and know that I'm mad at him, right? Because I'm not answering his text. I can't tell him. I looked through his phone, all this stuff.
Where'd she get this fake ass, I go around black girls
accent?
accent?
After I tweeted that,
and this nigga in a Schmedium cardigan.
Like literally,
look at him.
Pit
whole
ass. My heart was in the pit of my stomach, and I just knew, like, oh shit, I fucked up. Like, this is really bad.
Why? Yeah, because
people.
I'm lost. She tweeted it. Jules got,
What was the actual tweet? 100,000 followers, and I tweeted. It was literally a picture of the shirt, and it said, "Should I wear this to the festival tomorrow?"
Bitch, you can't justify that shit. That was dumb. Dumb. You ain't even cute. You just bought your booty. Leave it alone.
She put that tweet out with.
It was the most trending
shirt.
thing on the internet for 24 hours. Yeah. I had people like Earl Sweatshirt telling people to jump me when they see me.
What day was this?
This nigga reminds me of so many whack ass New York niggas. Like everything about him is annoying.
That was the first thing. So then when that happened, then people started creating this narrative.
All right, I think we've gotten enough.
And a culture vulture, right? Mm-hmm. Because first of all, people already
enough of that. Don't nobody care about you, sis. You're whack, and I had to do a whole video about it and defend someone who ethically I don't even fuck with either. Karen Civil, like bruh, but you still wrong. You still wrong. You are not the person to be calling her out at all. Leave that to the other black women. So that was the Yes Jules clip, and everyone's been talking, rightfully so, about her being a culture vulture. And I'm not going to get too much into it because I literally did a whole video. I will just edit it, hopefully tomorrow, and it'll go up Friday. But for whatever reason, Daniel Caesar decided to hop on live drunk and talk about it. I think the real reason why he decided to get on live about it is because of what Dave Chappelle did. Hold on. Don't. He says it right away.
Yeah, very gay. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I'm just kidding.
I'm sure you already heard it. Anywho.
What I said?
Dave Chappelle went on live with John Mayer, and somebody asked him, has he met Daniel Caesar? And he says,
hold on.
Very gay.
He's literally...
Hold on.
And Daniel Caesar is right in the room. Right there. I think John Mayer is like, yo, Daniel Caesar.
Okay, well, everyone is drunk. I'm the only sober person.
And then they try to clean it up.
If I fist fight on your show, I'll be furious.
Dave, people just saw for a minute
Look at Dave's face.
Speak freely, and there's alcohol in your hand, and you're working free association, and you accidentally
Don't nobody care about you.
That trips someone's feelings up. Now you have
the wrong word is accidentally.
Of course it's accident, but you have to clean it up. It's a 3-second cleanup.
No.
The guy's working for the first time on social media. I don't want to speak for it.
I'll tell you right now.
Clean it up. It takes
Okay, so Dave tried to clean it up, but Daniel was in his feelings because then homie hops on live and he's like, here we go. Sorry for the big screen mark.
In this chat right now,
you
I can't
can tell
tell.
This nigga don't date black men.
Yo, I want to make sure they're in.
I'm drunk.
I'm drunk, man.
You
guys are listening, and I love you guys so much, but we're like talking about something serious. So I'm like, I don't want to talk about shows or like being, like artist stuff. Why? I don't know which black people are in here, but I want you guys to talk up right now. Why do we?
Oh, I saw it here. I heard something drunk.
Why are we being so mean to Jouelzy? Why are we being so mean to white people right now? That's a serious question.
You passed me the water.
Why is it that we're allowed to be disrespectful and rude to everybody else, and when anybody returns any type of energy to us, that's not equality. I don't want to be treated like I can't take a joke.
Shit. Let me delete this.
I just went through that.
Yes, thank you. Bye, bitch. Okay, so let's talk about Daniel Caesar and his whole look. People are going about my teeth too, so I'm not gonna talk about the man's teeth. Whatever. He wealthy. He can do what he want with his mouth. Where are Daniel Caesar's parents from? He looks like he's from Sierra Leone or Jamaica. One of the two. I don't know. Somebody enlighten me about what his background is. I don't know what be happening up in Justin Trudeau's Canada. It's too cold up there for me. But that was a whole waste of time, bro. You could have just kept your mouth shut. Didn't nobody want to hear that from you. And it's interesting, though, because, yes, Jouelzy does have a lot of friends in the industry. And, I mean, as much as she's been offensive, I think it's hard for people to walk away from each other in that industry because it's so small. Like, it seems like there's a lot of people, but there's not. Especially people that are actually financially successful. Especially people that can actually get you into things and get you into rooms. And so that other black men and black people have put Jouelzy into this position of power does make her valuable, especially to younger artists. Like Megan Thee Stallion follows her. And I really wanted to protect Megan Thee Stallion at all costs. Matter of fact, I meant to close out with a talk about Megan, but y'all been talking about Beto so daggone much, I kind of skipped the order of my conversation, but just to make myself feel a little bit better. Let's put this picture of Megan right here, about to hit the gym. Goals, aspirations, inspiration right there on the TV screen, on the computer screen. Yeah, but Jouelzy got a whole lot of peoples, right? And so, I get it. Y'all having a hard time with the fact that you have an ain't shit ass friend and your ain't shit ass friend has done something for you, but you need to let the hoe go. We get it, sir. But we didn't need you to open your gap tooth mouth and say all that. Like, you said a whole lot of nothing about black people always want to be the victim. Black people need to be like the white people. And I get it, you're drunk. I get you're in your feelings because and I get it. And you know what? I think what he also did say, he did talk about the fact that he's gotten teased. And I think I get it. It's hard as a new artist. It's hard as somebody coming into your fame to deal with the hate. Especially from people that, like, look like you and who, in any other situation, you would probably be cool with. For them to say things about you being dark-skinned, say things about you being... And Daniel Caesar is very black. But it's always interesting that men kind of absorb this sort of hate and turn it into black folks are always this, versus I feel like queer people and black women tend to, well, maybe we're just forced to actually in the politics of what's happening to us. Maybe we're forced to understand the system and structures that hurt us. Well, all of us except for like Azealia Banks. But, you know, the rest of us, like, somehow, some way, find some damn sense. But, you know, patriarchy gonna patriarchy, and you know, Daniel's privilege is clouding his judgment. And I really just want to throw a history book at him. I'm not going to cancel him, even though he was drunk. He tried it. He definitely was like, you don't have to cancel me, but if you want to stop my bag, you want to make me broke, man, then like, go ahead, man. Like, okay, man. Like, bruh, you don't want to buy my stuff, bruh. And I don't really think black folks is his audience anyway. I feel like he really got that racially ambiguous artist down pat, and they're not going to cancel him no ways. So... okay. But somebody help Daniel Caesar out if Daniel Caesar wants. As a matter of fact, let's look on Daniel Caesar's Instagram. Has he updated his shit? I don't even follow him. Daniel Caesar. Nope. Looks like homie is somewhere. What country is this? Nope, he's in the Philippines chilling right now. Okay. Yo, racially ambiguous people. Go ahead, bro. Get you a little Asian bitch. Seems right up your alley, right your type. I like her better anyway. Howdy, Hive. Yo, I love Megan Thee Stallion. I can't wait until Miss Holly, her mama, and Miss Tina Knowles become friends, and then either her, Beyonce, or maybe she be the bridge that bridges the gap between Beyonce and Solange doing a track together. Maybe the Yeehaw Collective, the Yeehaw Hive will get together. I look real drunk. I'm not. Maybe the Yeehaw Hive will do a song together for Houston. I will never move back to Houston as a single person, but I would totally raise a family there. It guarantee I have some fine ass daughters. Something in the water, but something in the water. Big old freak. Okay. The last thing, I skipped because that was supposed to be the last thing that I was going to close out on. But the other, okay, so I have two more things to talk about, and then we'll wrap up. This is like a whole hour and a half, girl. It's long. We would be up this late. Woo! It's so late. Ew. But let's talk about this Maya Angelou. Talk about Miss Tina and Miss Holly. That I feel like both of them will correct your ass. Don't call them out their name. So here goes Maya Angelou. Silly ass question. This is little black girl.
Oh, thank you. And first, I'm Miss Angelo.
Miss Angela.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not Maya. I'm 62 years old. I have lived so long and tried so hard that a young woman like you or any other you have no license to come up to me and call me by my first name. That's first. That's first. Also because at the same time, I am your mother, I'm your auntie, I'm your teacher, I'm your professor. You see?
Okay, so everyone was critiquing Maya Angelou. Well, everyone was critiquing. There was this whole discussion that bubbled over on Twitter about was Maya Angelou correct in correcting old girl. And on one side, there's a whole, it's clear you didn't grow up in a household with respect to XYZ because you don't know how to talk to your elders. People felt like she was in her right to correct the young lady. And some people felt like she was disrespectful. A lot of folks, people get real tough on Twitter. Speaking of, y'all always ask me about being on the Grapevine. Probably never going to happen. It's okay. I'm fine. But I was watching an episode of the Grapevine, and somebody who I know to be very mean on Twitter was on the panel, and I was like, wow, they sound so much nicer and meeker and understanding in person. A lot of people be keyboard bullies and ain't got a bite in they bark at all in real life. They just got real tough thumbs. And they Twitter fingers be typing real rough, and they hella meek in person. And so I felt like the conversation became a thing because people have a whole lot of disrespect in their thumbs that they would never have in real life. However, what I would like to know is that later on in the episode, Maya apologizes. So let's get into it.
I apologize for being so short. I apologize. I'm not usually so short. It just caught me off guard. I saw you about 14. I thought, ooh. Well, but I apologize.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, I was trying to catch up on y'all comments. This only thing I don't like about live is that there's no way for it to really look as professional as I would like it to look, clearly because I'm still struggling here with the streaming. Now, my opinion on this is, I think there's a fine line. No, all elders do not have the right to correct you in the way that Maya Angelou corrected old girl. And I actually don't even think simply that Maya Angelou was justified in her correction because of her age. I think she was justified in her correction because she is the Maya Angelou. Now, what I do think happened is that she overtalked because she was caught off guard, right? And you ever been in an interaction where you're not comfortable and you just keep talking because you're not comfortable? And I feel like that's what she did. She kept talking because, I think at that point in her career, she felt like she had set a precedent where she would be referred to in a certain tone and manner. And so when the young lady called her, like, hey, Maya, what's good, Maya? It was like, this is not what we're on. We don't do this. And so she did a little too much, but then she self-corrected. And she apologized later on. She didn't mean to go into the diatribe. Someone else also in the audience kind of got snarky with her and stressed the Ms. Maya Angelou when she asked her a question. And so, I don't know. I would feel awkward if I got corrected like that, yes. But I would also take it in stride because it's Maya Angelou. And, you know, Tina Knowles is historic for correcting people about, no, you are not calling me Tina. I am Miss Tina. And we all understand that I am Miss Tina Knowles to you. And we all understand that now. So, like, I only think it really was a conversation because people got Twitter fingers and be typing real tough. But I totally understand the sentiment that respect should be earned. I, as a person... Mom, why are you texting me while I'm on live? My mother, like, Trisha, go to bed. Talk about, did you get your hair done? Yes, I got it done today. Thank you. I can't even be mad at her. She birthed me. I got to call and thank her on Monday at 9:55 a.m. Sorry, guys. Go to bed, Trisha. It's past your bedtime. But, just ruined my whole thought. I don't want to roll. Wow. But I think, you know, as a person who would you typically get accosted for looking young, and people want to call me baby. You know how many speeches I've gotten from older people? I get it, because I'm always like, yo, even if I'm 19, even if I'm in my 20s, what does my age give you the authority to be condescending to me in an undeserving manner? Like, what gives, but like, you know, I'm talking about like the flight attendant and when I'm trying to check in for my flight. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm in a customer service position and you are servicing me and I am the customer, I feel like I should get a certain, like, there's just a certain level of decorum and respect that should be given. And I don't need you to patronize me as if I'm a child. Even if you believe I am, I'm a paying child at this point, an executive platinum child, and I want you to treat me as such. Thank you. But in the context of it being Maya Angelou, I don't think it's fair to give her reaction to give it over how all elders interact with us. Nor do I feel like elders should all, you know, take on her position, or I want to say deposition, her authority when they haven't earned that authority themselves. But in the case of Maya Angelou, yes, my mother wants to know, who is Daniel Caesar and why are people talking about him? Rewind. Okay? You can do that. Thank you. Alright, the last topic is Gayle King and R. Kelly. And I'm late, and I didn't do a video about the R. Kelly documentary because it just took me forever to get around to watching it. And I didn't do a video about the R. Kelly thing. Mom, you can comment on the thing. I don't need you to tell me that Wendy Williams' husband is controlling via text, because if I saw on my screen, it's distracting me. Thank you. Let me log out of my text message app on my phone. Parents, y'all. Alright, so the R. Kelly interview.
So I think the point you're...
Alright, so my biggest issue is with Azriel. Now, of course, because I always gotta call it the colorism, there's definitely some colorism working here. Not from R. Kelly, but in the way that I've seen people talk about, what's their two names? I remember Azriel's name. What's the other girl name? The light-skinned one. But people always talk about Azriel's not cute, or the light-skinned one's so pretty, and I'm really just like, that's just because she's light-skinned. That, like, bro, that's really what it is. They both pretty much be wearing the same style of clothing. They be styling their hair the same. You know, Azriel just looks like a darker skinned version of her light-skinned mama. So I actually think Azriel's pretty. But all that attitude, girl. Why is she the one that spoke? Jocelyn, yes. Why is she the one piping? I'm sorry. Like, first of all, there was nothing disrespectful about the way Gayle approached that interview with those two young ladies. She did her job. And for Gayle to be catching any heat about this interview, I know everyone wants to kind of just tether her and Oprah together. People are mad at Oprah about that Neverland-ish, whatever. But with regards to Gayle specifically, you know, she was giving them a platform. She did not force them. She did not accost them. She did not run up on their home. This is a sat down. You know, the publicists have agreed on what can and cannot be talked about. They knew what they were getting into before they got there. You know, so all this sort of pent upness, like, you know, R. Kelly he's just, you know, he's trapped in the closet part 65. He's just always going to be a hot ass mess. But with Azriel and Jocelyn, particularly Azriel, it's like all this frustration. Well, we're not going to talk about ourselves. We as women, girl, you thought you figured out some few new words. And you just got so heated trying to get them few new words out that you combusted. You ain't said nothing. Nothing at all. You was disrespectful. Y'all have, what's that syndrome? Girl, I mean, I guess they are victims, but at some point also, like, you have to understand, people are of age, and they have a certain level of agency and ability to maneuver how they want to maneuver. And, you know, I think there is definitely room where I can be, Stockholm Syndrome, where I can be more benevolent about them if they ever change their minds and come out and say that, you know, they were manipulated, they were brainwashed, they were held, they were controlled, whatever. But at this point, I think even if they are being controlled, like, well, maybe that is just it. They're putting on theatrics. And Azriel really is trying to win a place in Robert Kelly's heart by being real extra for no daggone reason. Because I didn't feel like Gayle deserved any of that. I don't feel like Gayle did anything that... My mom. I don't think Gayle did anything that was disrespectful, that deserved her being egged on like that, and that deserved that sort of like, why would you want me to talk about my sex life? Well, yes, sis, actually, you should be ready to talk about your sex life because you are having sex with a man who has more than one girlfriend, that both of y'all live with him, and the way he talk about y'all, he's very vocal and flagrant about, and she wasn't even asking like what position you get in, she was just asking, do you both have a sexual relationship with him? And you turned up. Girl, ain't nobody got the time for it. Ain't nobody got it. But I think I covered everything today. Thank you again for joining me for my second PopSnark Live. I think maybe in general we can just keep PopSnarks live. But I am trying to get with better. The tech on this is better. Because this, I don't like the way this looks. Which is, the other one isn't taken down. If you have the link for it because you logged in, it's unlisted. So you can still watch it. It just doesn't pop up. Maybe I'll put it back up on my channel. But I don't necessarily like visually how this looks. I want it to go a little bit more seamlessly. But I think people that are able to get it to go seamlessly, they have other people helping them facilitate the live. Like doing it on my own is a little bit difficult. You know? But thank you. Happy early birthday to me. Thank you to everyone in the super chat who donated. Dag. Yes. Thank you, Juan. I'm going to send you money for, you know, for helping me out, girl. Thank you, Tantum. Thank you, Sid and Sean and Sophia, Abigail, Honorel, Sheree, Joyous, Dion, Taylor 915, Mahelius, one of my favorite names. Jay, Shanette, Nicole, LaBoy, Abigail. Some annoying kid, thank you, and Brett. Thank y'all. It's my birthday. You can cash app a hoe if you want to. All right. We out. Deuces. Holla at y'all maybe in like 2 weeks. Maybe. Sound about great? Sound good? Okay. Bye.